Hello and Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope you all are doing well. In the very infancy of this channel, most of you were my family and my friends. They knew what my content was and they knew what I wanted to put out on my channel. But now, most of you who are coming in, the new subscribers, the new viewers, you might know me for my reactions, and that's fine. I mean, no judgment there. But there is another side to me. That is, I like to read a lot of books, and I thought I should make this video where I recommend a few books for you, for you to read during this period where you have enough time to read, and I think it's the best time you're gonna get in your life because you're at home and you're comfortable. You can find books on the internet these days. It's really easy, it's really simple. You just have to, pick up the book and start reading. I will tell you the books that I'm reading right now in the end of the video, so stick to the end of the video for that. And well, let's begin. So before I start the video, please go subscribe to the channel if you want more content, and do let me know what you want to see in the future with in the videos in the future. And also follow me on Instagram if you like art and poetry and philosophy and some aesthetic pictures as well. If you like that sort of thing, do follow me on Instagram and Twitter. So let's begin. Well, the first book I ever read is also the first book that I'm gonna recommend here. It's I'm sure many people are familiar with it. It's Robinson Crusoe by William Dafoe. Now it's a really good book. Um, it's basically the story of a person. I think it's been a while since I read it. It's told in the first person by Robinson Crusoe, the name in the title, the person, and he recounts the story of the time where he is deserted on an island in a shipwreck, and how the story unfolds there, and he meets other people on the island as well, and it's just a great book. It was the first book that I ever read. That was an abridged version, but I read the actual the original text later on in life as well, and it's a wonderful book. I think I gave it 7.8 or 9 on Goodreads, and I highly recommend the book. You should definitely check it out. The second book I recommend for this time, especially, is Lord of the Flies. Okay, so Lord of the Flies, it's a hard read. It's not for someone who's just who's just beginning to touch up on reading and English literatures. But if you've read books and if you're in the habit of reading, especially older English literature, I recommend Lord of the Flies. It's a good book. It's also about a story um, of some boys who are in a shipwreck, and they're deserted on an island, and they find themselves basically without adult supervision. And so that is really a juicy premise, for a story, that it's kids and there's no adult supervision, and they have to now come up with a system of governance and how to, uh, you know, govern, and who will have the final say, and how they should go about like rationing their resources and stuff like that. So I really recommend that book as well. Again, it's a hard read. You might not understand some of the passages, some of the sentences, words used in the story somewhat are somewhat difficult to understand sometimes, but it's definitely a good book and you should check it out. That's my number two on this rec list. Well, the third recommendation is not just one book. It's basically an author, and you could he authored he's authored many books, many of which have been adapted into film quite successfully. The name is Roald Dahl. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but he is the author of the well-known story of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the BFG, Matilda, and Fantastic Mr. Fox. And he has an excellent autobiography, a small one, called Boy, a Tales from Childhood or something like that. And this author, I'm not recommending one book or two books from him. Just pick up any book from this guy, and I can bet $1 million that you will have a wonderful time. Especially if you're, again, as I said, if you're a novice reader, if you're just starting to read books and stuff like that, you should definitely check out his books, because they were made in such a way as to cater to children, but those stories really, I believe, they have lessons for everyone. It doesn't really matter what age you are and stuff like that. And I think they're enjoyable. I enjoyed them when I was 8 years old, and I enjoy them now when I'm 20. So definitely check out. And my personal recommendation is his autobiography, Boy. It's wonderful. It's really fun. You will have a good time, guaranteed. Okay, so the final recommendation is a personal favorite. Whenever someone asks me for a recommendation on a book, I always go with this. It's really it's really basic. It's really because it's very popular. The story is extremely popular. Harry Potter. Now, don't just pick up any one of these seven books and start reading. Please start with the first one, The Philosopher's Stone, or The Sorcerer's Stone if you're in the US. It's amazing. I mean, I think it was the first series of books, Harry Potter, that I finished. And I fell in love with literature and the idea of creating a story like J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter. I think about this. I think that I especially wonder that she had this story in her mind, right? Of a boy who learns he's a wizard and goes to the school, and all these wonderful uh, and sad and these things happen to him, and he learns and he like grows and meets his arch nemesis and stuff like that. I mean, I can't just put it into words. I mean, you have to check it out. If you haven't, I'm 100% sure if you're watching this video, you must have seen one movie or all of the movies, and if you haven't, you must have heard about Harry Potter. But very few people have actually read the books. So I suggest you read those books. You do yourself a favor and, you know, go through the pain of reading all the seven books. You won't regret it. I didn't. And every person I know who has read those books can get behind me on this. You will have a wonderful time. It's a great recommendation. Okay, so ये मेरी recommendation थी books की. आप इनमें से कोई एक भी पढ़ लें, आप रोल्ड डाल की पढ़ लें, और सारा। और यहाँ एक मैं ऑनरेडी मेंशन है, चार्ल्स डिकन्स। काफ़ी सारे लोग फेमिलियर हैं उस बंदे से, और उसकी बुक्स ऑलिवर ट्विस्ट और इस तरह की काफ़ी सारी बुक्स हैं, वो बहुत बहुत अच्छी हैं। थोड़ी सी वही अगेन लॉर्ड ऑफ द फ्लाइज की तरह थोड़ा सा मुश्किल होता है पढ़ना, थोड़ा सा मुश्किल होता है समझना, बट आई थिंक ही इज़ वन ऑफ द बेस्ट. I wouldn't say modern, but uh, like post 18th century, he's one of the best writers to have lived, to have ever existed. His literature, his writing is amazing. It's an honorary mention. You can check him out as well. तो ये थी मेरी रिकमेंडेशन बुक्स की इस क्वारंटीन में, जो आप पढ़ सकते हैं अपने आप को एंटरटेन करने के लिए, अपनी रीडिंग स्किल्स ब्रश अप करने के लिए. और मैं जो, अगर आप अभी तक से वीडियो देख रहे हैं, तो आप उन चंद लोगों में जो देखते हैं एंड तक, तो द बुक्स आई सजेस्ट, sorry, not suggest, those are the books I suggested, recommended. The books I'm reading right now, it's one of those books is The Conquest of Bread by this guy, and I started it, and it was mildly interesting. It was a group recommendation, so by some friends, so I started it. It's all right, but that's the first book that I'm reading right now. I'm also reading Lord of the Flies. I haven't finished it, I'm reading A Game of Thrones. Yeah, that's it's a good book. I'm also reading Twilight. I've stopped. I started it about a year ago, got midway through, and just stopped for some reason. I don't know. And I'm reading The God Delusion by Richard Dawkins. Wonderful book. Uh, One of the first modern proponents of atheism and anti-theism. It's definitely a good book. And I started Shoe Dog. It's the memoir slash autobiography by the founder of Nike. Um, I forgot his name for some reason. And I'm gonna start 1984 by George Orwell next week. So those are the books that I'm reading right now. So ये मेरी रेक थी इस फेज़ में आपकी ज़िंदगी जो क्वारंटीन का चल रहा है इसमें आप जो बुक्स पढ़ सकते हैं जो मेरे मुताबिक बहुत अच्छी बुक्स हैं. If you like this video, do press the like button and subscribe to the channel. Show some support, please. And if you like this type of video, if you want more of these, do let me know. Let's see how this pans out. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and stay tuned for the next one.